Hi there. So I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that I'm inspired and that today I finally posted my Rebecca wrap up, and that I have time at the moment to go through my physical TBR. For those of you who don't know, TBR means to be read. So these are the books that I have physical copies of, not photocopies, actual copies of them. Um, Nothing against people that have to photocopy books or read from PDFs. I read from PDFs as well, but I take big pride. I take a lot of pride in owning books. I do have the dream of having eventually a big library or having like my own room where I have books and I can just sit and read. But that's just for when I'm rich, which I will never be. So just for my next life or something. So I have two different piles. Um, One is in English, one is in Spanish. I will go through the Spanish first because the English one is longer. So first things first is Eragon, the first book on the series. I watched the movie when I was young and I really liked it. So when I saw the book, I said, why not? And I have a friend. Oh, sorry, I just gonna use the book as a stand to. I shouldn't have done that. Rookie mistake. Gross. I have a friend who really wants me to read the Eragon series because he read it and he wants to talk about it. So fuck you if you're watching this. Sorry, I'm trying, but I can't. So I bought it again because I watched the movie when I was young and I really liked it. So that's why it's here. It's I think 5 or 6 books, so it's a lengthy series. And what I think happens is that I have a hard time keeping up with series because I need to like read one after the other, or otherwise I will forget what is going on. So that's why I struggle with starting series, because then I would have to stick to reading that series only, and I can't branch from there. And the last time that I read a series in one sitting, well, continuously, was when I read Harry Potter. That was the only time. And I think it was, I mean, I was about to graduate, so it was like the right moment for me. Like I needed something to distract myself that was easy reading. So that's why I gravitated towards that. Then the rest of the books, well, so this is fiction. The other fictional book that I have, or the other book on fiction, I don't know what I'm saying. Friday, end of the week. I'm tired. I lent a book to my dad, which is War and Peace. It was a gift, a birthday gift from my neighbor. So it's there. It's long. And again, I have to be in the right headspace to read that. But it's a period drama, which I enjoy, by Leon Tolstoy. Then I have books on that are kind of theoretical, essay format, that kind of thing. So I haven't read them because I struggle a lot with reading theory, especially when it's in Spanish. I think there's just something about it that I struggle with, especially because my course of studies was all in English. So perhaps it made me become not being used anymore to reading in Spanish like that. So it's a struggle. But anyway, I have this book called Putita Golosa, por un feminismo del goce. So do with that what you will. um, there's two books here that are on feminist theory. This is one of them. And the other one is Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex. Both of these are in Spanish. Look at her. She's girthy. I again bought them because I thought I needed to read feminist theory. I still think that I do. I want to go more in depth into that, but I always end up doing other things and never getting around to them. And with theory, what happens to me is that, like reading a series, I need to have the time to be able to read nonstop through like several days or something like that. and also time to process what I'm reading and treat it as, of course, it's a piece of theory, of something that needs to be studied and processed and highlighted and stuff. So it's not like reading fiction. That for me is much easier because theory doesn't really stay, or I struggle with it because I can't imagine it like I do a story. So that's why I struggle with theory. But those are the two feminist books that I have in my TBR. Then I have Vladimir Nabokov's Pale Fire. I bought this because when I was doing contemporary literature in my course of studies, I was reading a Bakhtin text, and Bakhtin kept on mentioning this book. And because I liked Bakhtin so much, I said, okay, I will read Pale Fire because I need to know why this book keeps getting mentioned in my theory. Like, I need to know. So that's why it's here. I don't remember anything about it. So, surprise. And the last thing that I have is Foucault's History of Sexuality. This is book number 2. I read book number 1. Even though it looks small, the first one is even thinner. It took me a while. I couldn't process. I needed more time. I needed to sit with it for a couple of days. And, French people, sorry, not to offend anybody. Romance languages in general, I think I struggle with reading in Spanish because, unlike Germanic languages, Romance languages don't really go to the point sometimes. So I'm like, please just tell me what you need to tell me. Like, do it faster and do it in less words. That, I don't know what that says about me as a reader, or about my code switching and how I deal with my first and second language. But anyway, I think I'm gonna sneeze again. Okay. So now on to my English TBR. First things first. Definitely Dead by Charlene Harris. So I mentioned the Suki Stackhouse series in my first video, and this is book number 6. That would be the last book that I have in physical format. I am very sad because I need the other 7 because they are 13 and I only have 6 of them, and that is such a shame. So I don't know where I'm gonna get the other 7. And I was coming or going through a very good rhythm with these books, but I don't know what I did that interrupted me. They are short, easy to read, but I just, right now, I can't get back into them. And it's the last thing that I think that I'm postponing it because I know that this is the last thing that I'm going to be able to read physical, and I don't want to read the PDFs. So that's why I'm stalling, not reading this. Next, I have Tales of the Unexpected by Roald Dahl. You can see the reflection of my computer. Hello. This I bought off of Facebook Marketplace, like the Suki Stackhouse books that I got. Because I read Lamb to the Slaughter and The Way Up to Heaven. We tend to read them, or I tend to use them to teach, and I love them. So that's why I bought it when I saw it, and it was very cheap. I was like, hell yeah, give me that. And I want to read the other tales to see if I could use them with other groups or recommend to other students. But students, if you're watching this, you can read this, no problem. Especially intermediate or upper intermediate students, B1, B2, you would be fine with this. Some of you watching already read these things with me, so you know. And like I mentioned in my Rebecca video, if you want me to lend these books to you, just let me know. My library is open for lending. It's a very risky business, but I trust you. And what else was I going to say? Well, Tales of the Unexpected reads like a Quiroga sort of genre of morbid, kind of gruesome tales of things that you wouldn't expect. They are not happy in the least. Somebody always dies one way or another, at least in the ones that I have read. But they are good literature. That's why we teach them, we read them. I read one of them, The Landlady. I read it when I was a student. Um, so these are short stories also. They are easy to, I mean, they are manageable. That's what I mean. Then we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. I have recommended Happy Place to a few people because she's fun to read, she's easy to read, and she knows how to write romance with all of the tropes that we love. So, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, lovers to enemies, and then lovers again, I suppose, because this is about a couple that is lying to people and they are not doing good anymore, but I'll see what happens. And I really like Emily Henry. I think she's great. She's, again, easy to read. She just gets you along very easily. And when you need something light and breezy to get you out of a reading slump, she's the gal. Then I bought Alice Hoffman's Practical Magic. This is a book on witches. And why did I buy this? I think it's because, work with me, I watch which is a YouTube series by drag queens Trixie Mattel and Katya Samarotchikov. Blah, 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 blah. And one time they mentioned this on a Halloween episode, I think it was, or something. No, it was not a Halloween episode. They were just dressed like witches. Or at least Katya was very witchy that day. And they mentioned this, and it's a movie with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. And then I saw the book in the bookshop, and I was like, I'll get it. It's not very long. And it has this tassel because I bought a bookmark in the Renaissance Fair. And I want to read it. Not right now, but I have it in my book sleeve to read when I have time. But I don't know. And now I'm doubting my choice. Because I have to finish reading the volume 5 of the Apothecary Diaries, which I could do today because I have time. To try and finish that, and then maybe take a break. I will talk about that in a moment. But anyway, Practical Magic. And then Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I love Sally Rooney. I read 2 of her books, so Conversations with Friends and Normal People, and I loved them. I found Sally Rooney in a moment in which I needed to read contemporary literature of people doing and dealing with shit. Straight up. There's toxic relationships, there's toxic friendships, there's very questionable things that happen, but that are very human and real. And I needed that experience of humanness and flawed characters and people and things that happen to them. So I know nothing about Intermezzo, so I'm waiting to be surprised. If I like 2 of her books, I should like this one, right? And the last thing that I have is Wicca by Scott Cunningham. This is a guide for the solitary practitioner. So this is a philosophy, sort of pseudo, I don't want to say pseudo religion, I'm going to insult somebody, but I've never been religious or anything like that. And I had a teacher one time telling me that the one thing missing from my life was spirituality. And she was right. I've never been into spirituality or things like that, and I never had like teachings or doctrine or things like that to follow. And I started researching, I think, in my early 20s, and eventually I stumbled upon Wicca, and I said witches, and I like the image of the witch, and I like the connection with feminism, and I think that, you know, I like what it represents. I'm not going to go into detail here about that, but I have 2 Wicca tattoos on my body, and I do feel identified with what they mean, what they represent, and that's why I bought it. Before Book Depository shut down, I was like, I'm gonna get it. So I did. So I said I was gonna mention something, and now I forgot what I said I was going to talk about. You can tell I'm tired. And this is just a short video, so nothing very detailed. Was it about intermezzo? No. But anyway, that's my physical TBR. It's not a lot of books. I have manga waiting for me. I have stopped buying it because it's expensive and I get lazy. Especially because I need more space for manga in my mother's house because I don't have all of my books here in this apartment. So, yeah. I just finished Rebecca and I'm gonna make the effort of finishing the Apothecary Diaries, but I think that I'm gonna take a break. I'm tired. I'm finishing the first semester at the master's, and I think I wanna not read for a while. I have books planned, not books. I don't write, not anymore, unfortunately. I have videos planned that don't really involve me reading. So, and like I said, this is something for me to do in a relaxed manner, so I'm not worried about that. But I think I'm just gonna try to relax, especially because I don't know what the second term will be like for me. There's a lot of changes happening, or yeah, one very important change for me. So I don't know. I might not be able to complete my challenge for the year, but it depends. If I take a subject next term in my master's that requires me to read, then I'm gonna read. Which reminds me, actually, I should add to my to read. We wrote, it's not a paper, but one of our assignments required us to read a novel or a poem, a collection of poems, or a play. And we read one by, what was her name? It's called Transcendent Kingdom. Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Gyasi. So I was doing a subject called post-colonial studies. So we read um, an African author. I read the third part of the book, but it's actually very interesting. It's a story of the main character who is a neuroscientist, and she struggles a lot with reconciling her religious upbringing with her scientific education. And so we see her struggling with this throughout the novel and struggling to form meaningful relationships, and how her mother, um, becoming like also something that she struggles with. So I don't want to say too much, but it was a very interesting, at least the third that I had to read. So I'm going to add that. Maybe I could read that after the Apothecary Diaries, and that could be my next book of choice. I still have to finish Wayward Girls and Weak Women, but like I said, I'm kind of tired. Like I think I want to slow down a little bit because, I mean, today's Friday. Of course, I'm tired and I'm thinking about this like this. But anyway, I'm just gonna stop this here because, again, it was supposed to be short. I can't stop myself from rambling. So that was my physical TBR. Hopefully, I will get through them in the next 10 years. Some of them are actually are gonna take me a while, but it all depends on the circumstances that I'm in, the mood that I'm in, the headspace, what I'm feeling like reading, and also the funds that I have to buy books. Because if I start reading Eragon, for example, I would need to buy the other ones. I don't want to be reading so much from PDF anymore, especially because I'm a book collector. Like that is my contribution to the physical over digital kind of debate, and preserving books for me is very important. So yeah, we'll see what kind of updates I do in the future. So I was going to say have a nice weekend, but this is not a virtual class and I don't know when you're going to watch this. So I will see you in my next one.